their sneak peek.
This is crazy. It's happening. We're coming at you live Sunday, right before the Oscars. Basically, we're going to go straight from here to an Oscars party, and we'll see if all of our predictions, recommendations all turned out well, or if we're all going to be disappointed. Like I am. I've been since like 2014.
2016.
I'm your host, as always, Ethan Berman, and I'm joined by...
Camry Wyndham.
What order? Parker Lehman.
Cole Schmidt.
What order, left or right?
Just randomly.
And yeah, so we'll start this off as we always do. What have you guys been watching?
Oh man, I've been watching Southcliffe on Netflix. It's a depressing drama about a mass shooting, fictional one that happened in the UK. Came out in 2013. Netflix picked up the miniseries. Super sad.
How many episodes?
Really good. It's only a 4-part miniseries.
But it's like hour-long episodes?
Yeah, about 4 hours long.
Cool.
I totally recommend it if you're looking for some depression, good drama stuff. Yeah.
Nice.
Always looking for some
Yeah.
How about you, Parker?
Oh, yeah, well, I've been catching up on all these Oscar movies
Good.
pretty much. I watched
Okay.
almost all of the Best Picture nominees except for Call Me By Your Name because it's a fucking century long.
Yeah.
But
It's also like impossible to get your hands on.
Yeah.
It's what? Impossible to get your hands
I feel
on?
like it's always hard to get like the more indie.
From what I understand about it, it's a love story between a young boy and a peach, right? That's what the movie's about?
No. It's underlying themes.
All right, so
Rough.
I've got nothing, so you go.
All right, how about you?
I've been catching up on the Oscar nominees as well. I only haven't seen The Post and Phantom Thread, but I'm pretty much caught up, so yeah.
Yeah, I did a similar Oscars haul. I didn't really watch anything I hadn't already watched, but I re-watched the things I feel adamantly about to see if I actually keep my recommendations, because I have preconceptions when I first watch things, so I'm interested to get these down. Let's just go straight into the news, so that way we can get to all the juicy Oscars talk.
Yes.
So
Okay.
let's start off with our typical box office news. So Black Panther is once again king of the box office, pulling in another $65.7 million in its third weekend. That's only a 41% drop from last week. Coming in at number 2 is Red Sparrow with a disappointing $17 million on a $69 million budget. That's
Also
that
known as
Jennifer
the
Lawrence.
demo for the Black Widow movie.
Right.
Essentially.
Death Wish opened in third place with a decent $13 million, considering how cheap those grindhouse movies are. And in fourth is Game Night, bringing in a strong second weekend haul of $10.7 million. And most disappointing to me, once again, Peter Rabbit stays in the top 5 with another $10 million in his fourth weekend.
Rest in peace, James
It's
Gordon.
our Paddington. We got to come out and support it. Man.
Yeah,
We can't let the Brits one up us on family entertainment.
Yeah, Donald Gleason.
I know, right? Yeah, I was going to say, it's offensive towards people with allergies, though, apparently, so that's great.
With allergies? Wait, what? They can get offended?
The way
No,
the way they beat the villain is they like activate his allergies. And
What do they shovel peanuts into his mouth?
Basically.
Like
What?
they're pecking peanuts at him.
Yeah.
Wow,
And he has
now I
an
have more
allergic
reasons to
reaction.
hate Peter
And they had to
Rabbit.
come out and apologize, like, we're
Yeah,
sorry.
they come up, yeah,
It's horribly
apparently it's a strong lobby. All right, next up.
Strong lobby.
Leonardo DiCaprio and Brad Pitt joined Tarantino's Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Quentin Tarantino's next film
man.
is titled Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, and is set to star Leonardo DiCaprio as a washed-up TV actor and Brad Pitt as a stuntman in 1969 in the backdrop of the Manson murders.
Manson
murders. Mistypo. The film is set to release on August 9th, 2019. Far away, but I'm willing to wait.
I could not be more excited,
I'm
man.
stoked.
This sounds phenomenal.
All right, Jonathan Goldstein and John Francis Daly, the directors of Game Night, have officially signed on to direct the DC EU film Flashpoint. This comes after numerous director changes and delays for the project. And while the film does not have an official release date yet, many are suggesting a 2020 release date. So we'll be waiting a while for that one.
The movie goes into production next week. Just get anybody. They did the Vacation remake. I don't care. Just get them.
Speaking of superhero movies, Avenger Infinity War will be hitting theaters 1 week earlier. The film was originally set to come out on May the 6th, but after a Twitter exchange, it was announced that the film will be hit theaters on April 27th, meaning the film is less than 2 months from release.
It was staged.
I know.
What a
You
wonderful
can tell the
stunts.
compositors
Way to
are
go.
furiously crying right now. All the guys doing the visual effects,
Yeah.
moving production up a week
Yeah.
for post effects.
No, I'm sure they had it ready. This is probably the plan from the beginning. I mean, imagine they're probably fucking over another movie though, like like encroaching on its money.
They're still working on that
It's-
movie.
yeah, so
I think
it
there's
is
kind
the
of a
one
big movie that comes out a week beforehand.
I'm fairly certain Disney just doesn't care.
Oh, you're damn right they don't.
All right, and then finally, according to Reuters, an annual study done by UCLA, which analyzed the top 200 grossing films of 2016, stated that films with more diverse casts that better represent the U.S. and world population perform better at the box office than films with predominantly white actors. So, interesting. We should probably look more into that. Maybe I'm interested if you take out China being represented in their films recently and how that affects things. Because I feel like you watch Independence Day, you watch things, and there's like
Furious 7 did $1 billion over there.
That's true.
Yes. It's a movie just about cars. So I'd possibly disagree with that point. Sometimes it's the concept. Yeah.
Did they really have to conduct a study for that? That seems pretty obvious.
They conduct studies and everything.
Yeah, I mean, you have to know. And, I mean, you just look at Wikipedia like budgets, but it's true. The box office is speaking, and notice like how low 2014 was versus now, where you have Get Outs in the world, and those things are making crazy hand over fist. So, actually, since we're gonna get into the big Oscars talk, we're gonna cut to our first break really quick. We have an interview from 2017 South by Southwest Big Sick Carpet with Kumail Nanjiani, who is nominated for Best Screenplay. So let's roll that.
What's up, sneak peekers? We're here at.
Cool.
What's up, sneak peekers? We're here at South by Southwest 2017 on the red carpet of The Big Sick. It'll hit theaters this summer, June 23rd. Check it out. What was the impetus for you guys finally going on this journey and writing this screenplay together?
I was like, at some point, I would love to tell the story. Emily wasn't as sure in the beginning. It took a little bit longer for Emily to want to do it.
I needed time. It's been 10 years since the event.
So now it's been 10 years. So we wanted enough time to go by that we had some perspective on it, but not so much time that you couldn't like feel those feelings still. So you gotta like sort of wait for that window when it's right. And I think we really got it at the right time, where it was processed enough but unprocessed enough.
Emily, you've been writing in television for a while, but this is your first kind of foray into film. How has that been for you?
It's great. It's actually really cool to tell a story that's like one discrete story rather than like, and then what'll happen next week? Where are they going to be next week? What lessons will they keep learning? Like, the people in this movie learn the lessons they learn in this 2-hour span, and that's it.
And then they're done.
And that's kind of lovely.
Did you always see yourself as playing the lead role, and did that impact your writing? And for you, is it strange to kind of see someone else portraying what is supposed to be you?
Yeah, I mean, I always wanted to play myself.
I don't think you made this without you.
Yeah, I wanted to like write it, and I was always like, I would love to be this. Yeah.
And for me, it was a little weird at first. Watching the audition tapes were a little strange. And then after that happened, I was like, I'll get comfortable with this, I'm good. And the woman that plays me, Zoe, is so fantastic. She does such a great job in the role, and she's such a lovely human being. It could have been way weirder, and it wasn't.
What's one piece of advice you have for student filmmakers or writers or producers?
I think my advice is you just have to do it. Like, you don't have to like put pressure on yourself for it to be good or anything. Just like do it, because the fear of making something bad can be debilitating, and I think you just kind of have to you just have to push through that fear and just do it.
What was it specifically about the story that you thought made it deserve to be told right now?
This kind of story takes place at any point. I mean, William Shakespeare wrote Romeo and Juliet, and in a way that story continues to this day and will continue for a very long time, where people want and need their family to approve of who they're going to spend the rest of their life with and who's going to join their family. And at times, for reasons that are really good reasons, that can be immensely challenging for the parents, for the lovers, and this is just one of those stories.
Are there any highlights of the movie, without giving anything away, that you would point to that are maybe your favorite parts?
One is, you can't believe that this guy, Kumail from Silicon Valley, gives this performance in this movie. It's such like a award level performance. It's kind of like, whoa, I didn't see that coming. Number two is the birth of a female movie star, Zoe Kazan, because we've seen her as like an indie darling and a supporting actress, and she just emerges as a star in this movie in a way that I think people will be surprised by. Three, I think that most people will agree after seeing the film, this is the greatest Ray Romano performance of all time, and I think that's exciting because everybody loves Ray Romano. And then fourth, and certainly not least, like I haven't seen Holly Hunter be this good in a long time, and I think that it's because the roles aren't good enough for her. She's a tremendously funny, powerful, deep actress, and I think it's hard to come up with scripts like broadcast news that really can speak to everything she has to offer. And I'm very proud that I think we came up with one, and she gets to lay it all out there, and it's fun to watch.
All right, and we're back. So, actual Oscar stuff.
Yeah.
This is what we've been waiting for all semester, basically.
Done.
It's our high point. So, we're going to start off, for each of these categories, I'll list off who's nominated, and then we can get kind of the meat of it. So, writing, original screenplay.
Okay.
Nominees, Big Sick with Emily Gordon and Camille Nanjiani. Get Out, Jordan Peele. Lady Bird, Greta Gerwig. Shape of Water, Guillermo del Toro and Vanessa Taylor. And 3 Billboards, Martin McDonagh.
Okay.
So, I'm not going to structure this. Just feel free to go in. But I would kind of like to separate between who do you think's going to win
And versus
then
who we
do
would
you
want to
like,
win.
Who would you be happy
Okay,
to win
okay.
kind of thing, or just give a shout out, you know.
Yes.
That kind of
Okay.
So,
I'm-
you want to start?
I'm pretty sure that 3 Billboards is going to win. That movie is so fast paced and just like nonstop, and it works so well. Like, I never
it's
felt
also
like
been getting a lot of awards.
yeah,
like,
no,
in the
it's
circuit.
gotten a lot of recognition. Then Shape of Water. That's another.
Wait, what Parker?
Oh, what? Nothing. He's
Feel
in the
free
middle
to-
of giving his
Yeah.
opinion, all right?
But
Why do we have to interrupt that?
okay, Parker.
Yeah, continue.
But Shape of Water is probably like my personal pick, just because I thought that movie was absolutely gorgeous. How it like transitioned in scenes,
But you think the screenplay is worthy? Like, out of all the elements of it, you think the screenplay is what stands out?
Definitely, I'd say more of the score and the color.
Okay.
Scheme for that. But other than that, 3 Billboards is going to win.
Yeah.
I'd say it's my those top 2.
What do you think?
I would say probably 3 Billboards is going to win, but I kind of want Get Out. I want Get Out. I think that was such a solid picture, and one of the biggest things that stood out to me was the Jordan Peele's excellent screenplay. So
Yeah,
I can see that happening.
if it wins anything, the way I'm actually thinking it, I want 3 Billboards to win, but I actually think Get Out might actually take it.
Yeah.
Because of the way the Oscars are working, like the fact that it got nominated for Best Screenplay
Yeah.
in the first
Oh,
place
yeah.
over like anything else. I think that it actually has a pretty good shot at winning, and if it does win that, that's all it's going to win.
It's funny that you mentioned that angle because here I have my picks and I have my cynical picks and
Okay.
my real picks.
Right.
So the cynical picks are based on just what the Academy's always done and
Sure.
all their bull crap. So my cynical pick was 3 Billboards because personally I did not like the film.
Oh.
I thought the way it was written was kind of preachy, not even relating to the message necessarily,
Sure.
but just the way the characters talk, Like, and then my real pick is The Big Sick. Because I heavily enjoyed it, and it was so charming, and I love Camille Nanjiani as a stand-up comedian and as a writer and everything. But even though I think 3 Billboards is going to win, I don't think I think the screenplay is one of the biggest flaws of the film.
Interesting.
Because if you'll remember, there's one. We can talk about spoilers, right? This isn't some sort of wash.
Let's keep it to a minimum.
Yeah.
God,
yeah.
okay, well, this
'Cause these are good
thing
movies
this
you
has
guys can
no
watch.
bearing on the plot whatsoever. So there's a scene where she walks in and talks to a priest, and she goes on this long monologue about how the Crips and the Bloods are a
Right.
lot like the Catholic Church and everything.
Yep.
And then she leaves, and the priest is never seen again, nor was he seen beforehand.
I still think this is such a
So-
silly point.
It's not a silly
What
point.
is the point of the
Because she just rants at the guy, and then he's there so she can rant at him, and it doesn't
Alright.
have any bearing on it. And there are several moments like that in the film, I think.
So just to recap, so you think 3 Billboards is going to win?
Yeah, I
but
think that's
you
gonna
like
win.
Shape of Water, that'd be your dark horse?
Yeah, it'd be my dark horse. Now, if that wins, I won't be mad, but 3 Billboards wins, I'll be just as happy.
I actually kind of vibe your dark horse of Big Sick. If they win, I think everyone would be really, like,
Oh.
no one would be upset.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
like, oh, no.
Everyone's like, you know what,
I've
go
been
for
hearing,
it.
yeah.
But we all are pretty cynical. We know the Academy works, and if they work the way they are, it's gonna be 3 Billboards.
Yes.
But Get Out would be fun too. And I don't know. I feel like everyone's kind of hoping it wins something, but yeah. To be fair, original screenplay. There's some good stuff nominated for you.
Yes,
so.
definitely.
Awesome.
Out of everything, I'm like, no real snubs here. So, speaking of writing, adapted screenplay.
Adapted, okay.
So the nominees are Call Me By Your Name, James Ivory, Disaster Artist, Scott Neustadter and Michael H. Weber, Logan by Scott Frank, James Mangold, Michael Green, Molly's Game by Aaron Sorkin, obviously, and Mudbound by Virgil Williams and Dee Rees. So, what do you think?
Did you
Parker.
see Mudbound?
I didn't see
Did
Mudbound.
anybody see Mudbound?
I saw
Okay,
a
so
trailer.
it's not going to win. But my cynical pick for adapted screenplay is The Disaster Artist.
Interesting.
Not because it's a bad film or
Okay.
anything, but because from what I've heard, the screenplay is like serviceable. And James Franco and his performance and the directing really make the movie. But it's got a lot of significance. My real pick is Molly's Game
Molly's
of course it is.
by Aaron Sorkin. I was a big fan of that movie, and I thought it was
course you would.
probably his. Why you say that?
It's so funny. You're like 3 billboards. There's all this random preachy dialogue. But
Nah,
you know what? I love
nah.
Sorkin.
But the characters
You know
are more
who's great?
likable. Look at.
The guy's been
Aaron
doing it for the
Sorkin.
past
Okay,
decade.
Here's the difference.
What's the difference?
Aaron Sorkin is his writing is a bit sociopathic and very monologue-y with the characters.
Right.
However, there's less of a degree of pretension than what I saw.
Oh
in
wow!
Brady.
Get out.
That's what I would.
Get out.
That's what I would argue. Yeah, Get Out. It's a movie that was also nominated.
I know.
It was
I'm only gonna speak
clever
in.
little thing.
Yeah. Only
Look,
speak titles from now on.
I think if you do a side-by-side comparison, one's done better than the other. That's
Interesting.
my opinion.
All right, my dark horse is Logan. I really want to see
Yes.
that.
Yeah,
one.
no. If that got an Oscar, I'd be really.
I wouldn't be mad at that at all.
But I'm really thinking Call Me by Your Name is like the obvious pick that the Academy's
Yeah.
gonna go for. I'd say
the cynical.
And also, I think that's the one thing that's gonna win as well. Like I
Exactly.
always, the way I structure these is like, what's the one that, like with Mad Max, how they gave Mad Max everything else, but they didn't give it like Best Picture. You know?
Yeah, yeah.
I'm like, they're gonna give Call Me by Your Name Best Screenplay, so that way when they get into actors, they're gonna snub that entire category.
Oh yeah, totally.
So.
Do you think it has a chance? I know it's jumping ahead, but you think it has any chance in Best Picture? Because I have an. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, we'll get to that then.
We'll get there at some point.
What do you think?
I think Call Me by Your Name has got a great shot at winning, but Disaster Artist, it made my heart so happy. I loved it so much. It was incredibly wholesome, I think.
The book's also really worthwhile.
Yeah, no, I'm really curious to read that. That's probably my pick as a Disaster Artist. That's like what I'd want to win.
Sure.
Not something I necessarily think is going to win it, but honestly, that movie just gave me so much enjoyment.
For sure. All right, I think that's kind of an easier category.
Yeah, that's a screenplay. Okay.
Very little conflict there.
Yeah. All right, next category, visual
Oh,
effects.
okay. I love this.
Cole's actually in the VFX industry, so let's see his opinion on it. But the nominees are Blade Runner 2049, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, Kong Skull Island, Star Wars: The Last Jedi, and yet another sequel, War for Planet of the Apes.
Okay.
I got really cynical all of a
These
sudden
are-
realizing
yeah.
all of these are sci-fi sequels.
Yeah, no, yeah, they're all sci-fi sequels, but all these visual effects looked amazing. But you know, there's probably 2 takeaways for the year. I'd probably say Blade Runner 2049, compositing and like in terms of like rotoscoping effects, it took the cake.
Yeah.
You know, when we watched that movie, I remember just being blown away.
You were explaining to me off air, like the whole
the
lovemaking scene. The
lovemaking scene took a year to do. That took a whole year to do, and the girl that was overlaid on her wasn't real. It was a CG double.
Completely CG.
CG double. I didn't even notice. You know, the other chick who comes in later, I don't want to spoil it, but she's also completely CG.
It's
you know,
insane.
it's blows my mind. Then I'd probably give it to War of the Apes, just because in terms of technological achievement for those apes, you know, I thought they looked real. At some point, I thought that orangutan looked real. I'm like, it's mind blowing. The lighting's there. Then down, I'd probably give it to Kong Skull Island or Star Wars maybe. Guardians was cool. It was bright. Yeah. No.
Well, so what's your like number one?
Oh, number one, yeah. Blade Runner, War of the Apes. Then down there, kind of trickles.
All right. So interesting because you're a huge Guardians guy. You don't
Yeah.
think Guardians is a single shot? In this?
It's beautiful. There's some really beautiful stuff, but it's too like I'd say cartoony versus like
Interesting.
what
Yeah.
looks the most.
You think they're gonna win for
picture
Kurt
perfect
Russell's
real.
de-aging?
Yeah. That wasn't even that wasn't even a visual effects shot.
Oh,
that was him.
makeup?
Yeah, just makeup.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah,
Okay.
no, they did. Yeah.
No kidding then.
Oy.
All right, Parker, what do you think?
I agree with you on Blade Runner.
Okay.
I think it's gonna win. No chance anything else will.
Yeah.
My cynical pick, however, is
Oh.
Star Wars: The Last Jedi.
If that wins.
Yeah, because there's a reason it's in the category, and I'm just wondering how many bones they're going to throw to Disney.
Yeah.
Because it seems to be a recurring theme in here that some stuff wormed its way in somehow.
I mean, it did look good. The movie did look really good.
The movie
Yeah.
did look good. I'd say not as good visual effects-wise as The Force Awakens.
Yeah,
That's
I
what
agree.
I'd argue.
Yeah.
Also, since we're not going over this category, Beauty and the Beast somehow wormed its way into Best Costume Design and I believe
Yeah.
Production Design.
Really?
And if you've seen that movie, it's a big pile of shit.
Yeah.
So it doesn't make a lot of. It is.
I haven't seen it, so
But it doesn't make a lot of sense that it even be in any of those categories.
More Disney.
More Disney.
Yeah, to speak about Star Wars: Last Jedi, actually, I think it's like the least deserving of any
Yeah,
kind of
no,
nomination.
it's-
because I was like watching, I was like, this is prequel level bad. Like,
Yeah.
Because like Force Awakens,
Yeah.
so much practical, and then the VFX was so like the Millennium Falcon is delicious. Like
the
everything.
Leia
so
shot.
good.
The
But-
Leia shot ruined it for me.
But with this, there was so much where I was like taken out of the movie actually, because I'm like, oh, is that person not there? You know,
Yeah.
oh, like why is the casino the entire
Casino
planet?
planet.
It's just it was rough. So, but my like hopeful pick, my dark horse is Kong Skull Island, just because I think that movie was way better than it could have been.
Oh, yeah, no,
because
totally.
of the VFX, and I was like, wow,
Yeah.
like, I was expecting it to not enjoy it, but I was actually kind of taken away by the spectacle of it. So I'm like, You know what? If it wins the award, I wouldn't be mad. But Blade Runner's the obvious
Yeah,
winner
that's
here. Like,
that's what's gonna win.
Exactly.
unless you have any kind of.
No, Blade Runner's incredibly obvious, but I would agree with your dark horse, Kong Skull Island. I think the visual effects just made it just
Yeah,
magnificent.
that team's really cool too. So I'm excited to see what else like they pump down that whole monster. Genre.
Oh god, Godzilla, King of the Monsters.
Yeah.
So excited.
Cautiously optimistic.
Yeah.
Visual effects is taking over the world of film. You know, most films you see aren't real. You know.
I mean, there's what's that Rock movie coming out?
Oh, Rampage.
Rampage. Yeah.
Oh
Speaking
my
of
God!
monsters.
They got in on the King Kong Godzilla movie before WB even could.
Right. It's amazing.
Yeah.
God.
All right, so that's a good category.
Yeah,
so
that's
next up, music original score. This
Ooh,
one's
this is
I
gonna
actually
be
have
good.
very
This is
strong
good.
opinions on.
Yeah.
So we got Dunkirk by the famous Hans Zimmer.
Hans Zimmer.
And almost infamous at this point.
Yeah.
Phantom Thread, Johnny Greenwood, The Shape of Water, Alexander Desplat.
Yeah.
Desplat. Star Wars: Last Jedi by John Williams, of course, and 3 Billboards by Carter Burwell.
Okay.
I'm very, very, very conflicted on this one.
Oh, yeah.
I actually had to put a lot of time, but my dark horse and my who I think is going to win are actually kind of the same in Shape of Water.
Shape
I
of Water,
really
yeah.
think that there was something that was really magical about the soundtrack. And it just added so many layers. It was like, actually part of the storytelling. While I enjoyed Phantom Thread, but I feel like Phantom Thread just added to like the ambience.
Yeah, the
versus,
ambience.
Like Shape of Water, like that lovemaking scene wouldn't have worked without the soundtrack. Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Really
God,
carried some of the scenes. Also,
Yeah.
the influence from like the '50s Godzilla movies in the soundtrack when Michael Shannon's on screen.
Oh, for
It's
sure.
cool
Oh,
shit. Yeah.
So good.
Yeah.
Yeah,
However,
no,
it's not on my list.
yeah.
Fair enough.
Yeah, I'd say Shape of Water is definitely probably gonna win, but my dark horse would be Dunkirk, just because
I agree.
the techniques that went into that, you know, like the build up, you know, the ticking of the clock, you know, it really added to intensity. Seeing that in IMAX with that music just pumping, you know.
Yeah, use a stopwatch.
Yeah, no.
Like, it's such a sick. Like, my little side note is, if you're like interested at all in filmmaking, the Dunkirk's behind the scenes are up on YouTube now.
They're
It's actually
fantastic.
like,
Oh my
in
gosh.
just terms of
Just
guerrilla
what they're doing.
blockbuster filmmaking.
Oh, yeah,
of
way more
He's like, how much can I get on camera without doing visual effects? You know? What did you say?
Well, I love that Parker promised to not be so confrontational, but there's a lot of
Let's
side
just
eye.
move on to my picks, all right? My cynical pick is Dunkirk because, look, I love Hans Zimmer and stuff, and I will admit that he carried the whole film with his score. However, I really genuinely what? Okay,
Go on.
I really genuinely love the score for 3 Billboards. I thought what's his name, Bear McCreary or whatever,
Carter
Burwell. He really propelled the film to another level. Every time the score kicked in, I thought it was a badass moment.
Right.
Especially the song when Sam Rockwell's kicking the shit out of that guy.
Yep.
You know what
Yeah.
I'm talking about?
Oh yeah, that was a great scene.
Yeah, so I love the score for 3 Billboards more than anything else.
What's my 3 Billboards is like my favorite movie of the year, but ironically, I feel like Billboard's soundtrack made it more of the movie that you have the issue with versus like the screenplay.
Yeah.
Like,
Really?
I feel like it has that like empowerment. We're gonna talk about race kind of soundtrack sometimes.
Yeah.
And, but then, like
Yeah.
it has like that like the second like if you listen to the trailer, it's this like dun like soul kind of song.
Yeah.
But like that's not what the movie is.
But
Yeah,
it's
no,
like
no.
country, it's like
Yeah,
like country.
it's way more
Yeah.
like, hey, let's get serious versus what it actually is, which is a McDonough film that's like a quirky dialogue and
Yeah.
people being bad. And then that's actually my issue with the soundtrack is it kind of sets you up for a different movie than you actually kind of get.
I have almost the complete opposite opinion. That's very interesting.
And that's because I like the movie and you
Yeah,
hate
I
the
thought
movie.
it was embracing the grit of it was what elevated. Okay.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Very
Interesting.
different perceptions of the film.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
Well, I would say Shape of Water's got it in the bag. It's got it in the bag, but my 2 cynical picks, 3 Billboards and Dunkirk.
Yeah.
I saw Dunkirk in IMAX as well, and I was shook to tears.
Yeah, no,
After it, like I was a total mess for like the rest of the night, and
Yeah.
it wasn't until the morning I was like on
Yeah.
I was just on an emotional roller coaster, and it was wonderful.
There's like a phenomenon that I didn't catch on, but I adored was the movie selfie after Dunkirk. Like you can just go through the hashtag and so many people, no one's smiling, but they're like, amazing movie, blow my mind, but they're all just like shook,
I
just
came out
whatever.
speechless for 20 minutes walking home with my friend. We were like,
Yeah.
that was the best plane scene I've ever seen in a movie.
Yeah.
The ending shot of Tom Hardy landing with that score brought me to tears.
Yeah, I loved all 20 minutes of it too. It's great.
Have you guys? I watched it on my phone screen the other day. I tell you,
That's not how you should
not
see
the
it.
same
I'm out.
experience.
No.
Oh yeah, like Gravity, you mean?
Oh,
These are movies you have to watch in theaters.
Speaking of gravity, film editing.
Okay,
Next
perfect.
category.
Perfect.
So we got Baby Driver, Dunkirk, I, Tonya,
Ooh.
Shape of Water, and 3 Billboards.
Okay, okay.
I'll start with you. I know you guys think.
Let's see. I'm gonna go with Baby Driver is probably gonna get it, but I loved I, Tonya. I just
Interesting.
think that was some masterful editing. with the dark comedy element, I think those two just worked in tandem
Question:
with the editing.
do you think it should be hurt at all by the VFX? Because a lot of issues people have with the film was the facial
When
capturing
she's like
everything.
doing the triple
So do
axel, you know.
Yeah. Do you think VFX and editing should be kept separate, and that's why this deserves, or do you think that it might be hurt by it?
I don't think it would be hurt by it. No.
Interesting.
I would say it would.
Cool.
Yeah, I
I
saw
think
that
it'd be
scene where her
affected by
face it looked like Hannibal Lecter or
Yeah,
something.
that's like the biggest issue with that movie is just the facial stuff just wasn't. I don't know if they rushed it or what, or if they just had the technology to do it.
It's well visual.
But
effects.
I will agree that editing on that movie is really solid. So, yeah. What do you think, Parker? I'm interested.
Well, my cynical pick was Dunkirk once again.
Okay.
Yeah.
But my real pick, I'm not going to get into that. But my real pick is Baby Driver. I thought the editing was tremendous in that movie, and it had a perfect set. It had a perfect sense of the comedic timing and of the action and pace and everything.
Oh, the music too. Oh my gosh.
The music too.
Oh my gosh.
Yes, I thought it
He
was
knows how to do
unmatched.
like close-up shots on stuff exchanges, like turning on like the steering wheel, like zooming in on the steering wheel. That's my kind of thing. So I'd definitely give my pick to Baby Driver, then Dunkirk next. You know, for my
I
dark
actually
horse.
rewatched Baby Driver because I was being kind of cynical with it
Yeah.
because everyone loved
Yeah,
Baby
everyone's like,
Driver.
oh, we love
So
it.
I was like,
You know,
the
like,
first
do
10
one-
minutes are great and the rest of the movie's okay. But I rewatched like, no, the editing holds up throughout the entire thing. I think it deserves the win because, as you guys said, it adds to the movie instead of it just.
Edgar Wright has his taste, man. Yeah.
He's actually talented.
Yeah.
I will say.
Is he?
I will
One
say.
can argue, yeah.
All right, Dunkirk. Excited about that. I think the snub on this actually is kind of Phantom Thread because I feel like there were
There's
so
so
many
much
decisions
good.
in that movie where I'm like, wow, the dissolve's still going. The dissolve's still going. The dissolve's still going.
20-second
And
dissolve of just.
It wasn't a 21st century kind of movie in that regard of like everything's so fast. Like
Yeah, no.
Phantom Thread creates its own pace and it puts you in its own thing. And that's why I think it
It
deserves
was intoxicating.
Best
No,
Director.
I'd agree. I got snubbed for
The reason why I think Phantom Thread's going to underperform in a lot of these categories is because it's so subtle.
For sure.
It affects you in that way. I'd say too smart for the Academy. Is that a phrase?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I'd
Can
agree.
we sell that as T-shirts on the website?
I mean, There'll Be Blood was also that way.
Yeah.
So,
correct.
God.
any other strong opinions on editing? Or are we all kind of like Baby Driver's good, I, Tanya had solid
Yeah.
moments, like
I mean,
Dunkirk's
a lot of
not it.
editing this year for movies was really good. So.
And then just to sidebar, we didn't have this category, but sound editing, sound design.
Okay.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Actually-
Dunkirk, and Blade Runner.
Yeah. I have the same-
Either one wins, I'll be happy.
You want to know something funny?
What's that?
The same movies are nominated in both categories.
Really?
There's
It's the
nothing
same
different.
exact
Sound
list?
editing, so they don't really care about it, I don't think.
Fair.
It's the same shit for both of them. There's no difference.
I'm really interested in this one.
Oh,
Cinematography.
this is gonna be this is the most divisive one right now. I think.
All right. So we got Blade Runner 2049 with the famous Roger Deakins, Darkest Hour with Bruno Del Bono,
Yeah.
Dunkirk with Hoyt von Hoytema, Mudbound, Rachel Morrison, and The Shape of Water, Dan Lawson.
Ooh.
So Mudbound's out already, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it was decent cinematography. I saw the trailer. It's not bad, but it's not.
Put on Mudbound.
I wouldn't put it on. Yeah, no, there's way stronger.
All right. What do you think, Cole?
My pick is going to be Roger Deakins for Blade Runner. No,
Wow.
he's consistently not preach. No, he's consistently knocked out of the park with like stuff like Arrival and Sicario, and this movie he really pushed like the intense visuals. You know, you felt encapsulated in Blade Runner 2049. But my dark horse is Dunkirk. That was like what you said, like the guerrilla style. They're in the water, you know. They're getting IMAX cameras in planes. They're like breaking into them.
Yeah.
it was
No,
fantastic. You know.
Yeah, to add on that, just like it's out of all the categories behind the scenes I told you to watch, like the
Yeah, don't-
cinematography is insane
don't-
because
it's
like
insane.
they were literally like watching this man just explain his cinematography
Yeah.
process of like, oh, he wants that shot, okay, and he builds like a underwater rig to just go in the
Yeah,
water
like-
and swim and get
Yeah.
the shot. You know, like he's like, oh, you want that handheld?
He
I can do
handheld
a
it the
handheld.
whole IMAX
Yeah,
camera
it's like
most of the film.
the infamously like
If you won for
impossible-
that, I'd be so happy.
Yeah,
but you know,
or it's like, oh, you want that in the air on a plane? Okay, you know,
Yeah,
we'll
he's-
just, we'll,
That'd be
we'll just
got
build a plane. Yeah, like we'll do it. So,
but
I
my
love
third
it.
pick would definitely be Darkest Hour. You know, there's some
Yeah.
really interesting visuals. You haven't seen it. It's really artistic.
Yes,
I loved
the
it.
lighting on Gary Oldman's
No, it's-
jowls in almost every scene is tremendous.
It was great. Just the pudgy cheeks.
Big fucking floppy jowls.
but before I get
Victory
to
at-
any of your guys'
at the
opinions,
cost.
quick question: anyone think Shape of Water has any kind of a chance?
For cinematography,
Because it's-
I really enjoyed it.
It was shot
there were some
beautifully.
really good shots. in that
On the
film.
most recent viewing I had, I was like, it should win just if it does win, just for Michael Shannon's like every
Oh yeah!
single
Oh
scene
my God!
he's
Anytime he
in.
got on,
Because
the lighting was great for him.
I'm colorblind, so it takes me a while to like catch on to things. Like people have to point out to me. I'm like, oh, okay, I can see how that shading is different, whatever. And I was watching with my girlfriend, and she was like, yeah, I love how they made him a monster with like all the lighting all the time. I was like, what do you mean? Like, oh, I watched that yet, and I was like holding like color cards. I was like, oh, okay, yeah, like that's actually insane.
Totally,
So.
I love those parallels between him and the fish guy.
For sure.
But okay, so my pick is Blade Runner 2049.
Yeah.
Obviously, Roger Deakins is the new Leo DiCaprio. He needs an Oscar. Give the man a freaking
He hasn't won
Oscar.
yet.
And my cynical pick is Hoyt van Hoytema for Dunkirk. Because if you ask me, Wally Pfister has always been much better suited to Christopher Nolan's style. I think he pulls it off better. It's a shame he had to go off and become an artist. But yeah, I picked Blade Runner. I think Shape of Water does have a chance, though.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. What do you
So
say?
those
Blade
three.
Runner and Dunkirk. Those
Yeah.
are my top two.
Right.
Just something about the immersive cinematography for Dunkirk. It was just, that's what made the film.
You know those plane scenes where they come down for the bombings?
Yeah. Poor Mudbound.
I thought you said this
Yeah,
was
I
a
know.
divisive
I'm getting
category.
PTSD.
Yeah, you know, that scene really took me.
I thought you said this was a divisive category. We all agreed on both counts.
Well,
Well, both
I
of
think
you.
I think it's divisive in the sense that some
It's
of us,
very hard
some of
sometimes,
us
like,
aren't
yeah,
like,
Dunkirk's like-
a lot of people like Roger Deakins has it in the bag, and we're all going.
Like, what if-
Dunkirk's probably going to actually win it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be mad if Dunkirk win, but I want Blade
I'd
Runner.
be furious at that. I'm kidding.
All right, let's move on to actor and supporting role.
This would be some good
All
categories.
right, so we got Willem Dafoe in The Florida Project, Woody Harrelson in 3 Billboards, Richard Jenkins in The Shape of Water, Christopher Plummer, All the Money in the World, and Sam Rockwell for 3 Billboards. So I'm controversially for the review I wrote for Sneak Peek. So I watched 3 Billboards like 3 weeks before it came out.
Yeah.
And the review I put up, and I was immediately like, guys, Sam Rockwell's going to win. If anything from 3 Billboards wins throughout this season, Sam Rockwell's going to sweep for supporting actor. And I think the dude deserves awards because that dude's like always the most underrated part of every single movie he's in. And
It's the best part of Iron Man 2.
exactly, yeah, he makes
Mr.
Iron Man
Right.
seem good. Yeah, like it's it's debatable, but unfortunately, watching Shape of Water again, it actually makes it a lot harder for me because I adore Richard Jenkins' character.
Oh,
in
yeah,
that movie.
he's great,
Like,
yeah.
I actually
great.
really, I
Oh,
feel like he's
God.
kind of like the heart of it, you know. And there's just so many scenes where I'm like, the movie. I actually feel like the movie would have
His character is
been
fantastic.
hurt. Yeah, the
start to
movie would have been
finish.
hurt if anyone else had been cast for that role.
Oh yeah,
but because I'm like that
his
screenplay wouldn't work
his
without him.
narration at the
Yeah.
end, you know, given that The Shape of You surrounds it, like
Yeah.
He was pretty good. I thought he was Martin Mull for the first half of it. You know, Gene Parmesan?
Yeah.
I thought he was that guy.
yeah.
But yeah, he was all right.
Interesting. All right.
But interesting that 3 Billboards has 2 nominations on here. That
Yeah,
probably
yeah,
one of
yeah.
them isn't earned.
Definitely.
Yeah, I wouldn't give it to Woody Harrelson. You know?
No, I wouldn't. He
Yeah.
was Woody Harrelson.
Yeah,
That's all he
it wasn't True Detective at all. It was.
No.
It was 100%
I
Woody
love that
Harrelson.
they threw Christopher Plummer in after exchanging it for Kevin Spacey.
Oh man.
That was seeing the
That's
trailer re-edited with Christopher Plummer is the funniest thing because you're just like, this is a totally different movie now.
That's actually
that
that actually segues well into my picks because I picked my cynical pick is Christopher Plummer
Interesting.
because I feel like there's if the Academy were to give the award to Christopher Plummer, it would be a giant verbal public fuck you to Kevin Spacey.
Yeah.
And that's in their
Yeah.
best interest,
Yeah.
you know. 'cause
It
they
is.
supported
they
him for
could,
years.
you know, if they're making
So,
statements this year.
As far as a business move, Christopher Plummer is the right one. However, Sam Rockwell was tremendous, and the only reason I think he wouldn't win is because of the controversy relating to his character, and that in the movie he didn't outright denounce all the stuff that he believed in before, even
sure.
though you could tell he evolved.
That wouldn't be good character development.
No, it wouldn't.
No.
It wouldn't. No, but I mean, yeah.
Whoever
Yeah.
admits to things.
Problem. Also, what the hell was I gonna say? Oh yeah, Willem Dafoe. You think he's got a chance?
No, so that's the interesting one. A lot of people
I
in
haven't
the
seen it.
critic
I'm really
circle are
curious.
saying that Willem Dafoe is the biggest shot to steal it from Rockwell.
That's fine.
I would
love
agree.
Willem
I
Dafoe.
would agree,
yeah.
actually.
So, yeah, it's interesting that my like dark horse is Shape of Water.
No,
'Cause
I-
I feel bad. I feel bad shilling for this movie so much, but I was like, this
Shilling?
movie. Yeah, this movie's actually because I from the beginning I was repping 3 Billboards so hard. Like Sam
yeah.
Rockwell's performance was like my performance of the year really because I was vibing it. But
Yeah.
you know, we'll see.
Sam Rockwell's a national treasure.
Yeah. Any last opinions
Sometimes
on?
we can agree on that. Yep.
Do you think Willem Dafoe's gonna take it, or do you think Sam Rockwell's got
I
it?
hope he does. I hope he does, honestly. But if Sam Rockwell gets it, you know what?
Yeah, it's talented.
I'm all for that too.
All right, last quick segment before we go on break. Supporting actress.
Okay.
So we got Mary J. Blige for Mudbound, Alyson Janney for I, Tonya, Leslie Manville for Phantom
Ooh.
Thread, Laurie Metcalf for Lady Bird, and Octavia Spencer for The Shape of Water.
Okay, that's a good one.
So what do you guys think?
I'll
Also
start.
Janney,
Uh huh.
next.
Okay, you got it out there.
Okay, so I think my cynical choice is Octavia Spencer.
Right.
Because
I'd
the
agree,
Academy
yeah.
loves Octavia Spencer. Even Hidden Figures, which was like a Lifetime original movie or something. But my pick, I think it's gonna be Laurie Metcalf in Lady Bird.
I know, yeah.
I thought she was tremendous. I mean, like she felt like a real person, like no ounce of pretension or anything like that. I believed every word she said.
My cynical pick is Lady Bird, but my hopeful pick is I, Tonya with Alyson Janney, just because I feel like that out of all the performances that stood out to me. We had a discussion about Octavia Spencer being Octavia Spencer too much, and that kind of hurt it, because I loved her character in the movie, but it's not anything I'd give an Oscar for. Yeah. So I do think that that's like my cynical pick almost, of like, you know what, thinking about how the Oscars work, I think that Lady Bird's probably going to pick that up, and it might be its only award.
Yeah.
Maybe. I think
I wouldn't be mad, but
Any other opinions on that?
just Octavia Spencer. She did a great performance. No, I'd pick her.
What about Mary J. Blige?
Oh, yeah. What about her? What about her? She was in
Mudbound.
Mudbound. That's
Right,
automatic
yeah.
disqualification. I don't know.
I haven't seen it.
though.
Nobody has.
I can't
It's
count
on
that.
Netflix and nobody has. There's no excuse for that.
I almost feel like for next podcast we have to watch
You know what?
Mudbound and be
Okay,
like,
we'll
you know,
watch
it's
Mudbound.
amazing.
We might as well put
We'll
this on the
watch Mudbound.
recommendations
Yeah.
just to
Yes.
watch it.
All right, so we're going to
What if
quick.
it sweeps? What if it wins everything?
Yeah. What if it's like
It's
the
the
underrated
artist,
film
it's
of
the
the year?
artist
You
of the
know?
year.
I'm going to lose a lot of money. I have to call my bookie.
All right, we're going to a quick commercial break.
Yeah.
We've got another Oscar interview that we did for last AFF. We interviewed Lady Bird. And yeah, so we're going to cut to that quick break, but we'll be back with the tastiest picks of all.
Ooh, yes. I'm excited for
We'll be
this.
right back.
Hey there, Sneak Peeps. I'm Emily Steele here at Austin Film Festival. We're on the red carpet of Lady Bird talking to writer and director Greta Gerwig.
Lady Bird, starring Saoirse Ronan as the titular character, marks film industry vet Greta Gerwig's solo directorial debut.
I was wondering how you could tell me about how your experience as an actress kind of prepared you to take on the role of director.
Well, I think being an actor and also the work I've done as a writer and a co-writer and producer and co-director of movies are the things that prepared me to direct. And particularly with acting, you get to be up close on a lot of great directors' film sets. I've gotten to work with Mike Mills and Rebecca Miller and Todd Solondz and Noah Baumbach and Whit Stillman and just an incredible list of people. And because of that, I feel like I've really gotten to internalize what I see them doing. So by the time I got on set, I felt like I had all this experience to draw on.
What made you choose this story as your first kind of solo endeavor?
Oh, I don't know that you really choose the story. You kind of write and the thing comes out at you, and that's the thing that you're making. I think in some ways some people decide what the story they're writing before they write it. I start writing and figure out who these characters are and what the story is. I do it as a way of discovery, not as to execute an idea.
Do you have one piece of advice for young filmmakers?
Oh yeah. Find your people, find your community of other filmmakers that take you seriously. Just go make the thing. There's so many opportunities to just go make now because everybody has camera equipment in their pocket at this point. And figure out what you hate. Figure out what shot you never want to see again. Figure out what kind of character you never want to see again. And I know that sounds negative, but I mean it as find your righteous fury that you have to tell your story your way.
Awesome. Thank you so much. It was so nice to meet you.
You know, Hollywood U. You know that show I'm on, Hollywood U? You don't know Hollywood? Oh, shit, I can't talk about that.
Hey, and we're back. Wonderful. So, I think that was actually a pretty solid discussion about all those movies. I'm actually really excited to see who wins because after putting more thought into it, I'm like way less cynical, I guess, because I'm actually happy if some of these picks win.
Yeah.
Like, although, you know,
We want our
the Oscars are the Oscars.
Yeah.
And I think these last
these.
categories are kind of going to upset me. But so let's start with the one that we probably have the least feelings towards, animated feature, aka the Disney Award.
I was very disappointed with the animated features.
Boss Baby,
Yeah.
Breadwinner, Coco, Ferdinand, and Loving Vincent.
Yes.
So
Now, here's the thing. I was absolutely enchanted by Boss Baby. I thought it was possibly one of the best. Alec Baldwin's gravelly voice just soothed me throughout the whole.
Groundbreaking.
All right, I'm gonna stop doing that. Yeah, this is Coco's award to win and lose. I don't think there are even any other. The fucking Ferdinand's not gonna win.
I know.
John Cena.
I feel, I was gonna say, I feel like the exact market Ferdinand was trying to hit got usurped by Coco.
Yeah, got completely usurped by Coco. They Disney strikes again.
The breadwinner is a sympathy pick.
Yeah, and I was gonna say, I feel like Loving Vincent's like the dark horse.
Loving
people are
Vincent's the most
hoping.
artistic,
Yeah.
and I'd say should win, but it's not.
Have you seen it?
I haven't seen it, but I've
I heard it was
seen
a pile of
trailers.
crap.
I've seen it
You've seen
actually.
it? Is it
Yes,
good?
I have.
What would you say?
Gosh, I just hope. I wish Loving Vincent would win, but Coco was so wonderful as well.
Do we have best original song here? Did we get? Are
We actually didn't cover that. No.
Oh, okay. Well, I'd like to
You mean
say
the?
Coco's nominated for best original song. My boy Common is also nominated in the same category. Common's one of my favorite rappers of all time. Finding Forever is one of my favorite albums produced by Kanye West. So I hope Common wins. I'm just gonna put that on record.
And when Best Showman wins, you're gonna be disappointed.
The greatest show, man. What's the song about? Like,
Solid film. I'll say.
what's the song about? Like striking elephants with a bull? What's the deal with that?
Probably.
What's the song called? This Is Me.
Yeah, This Is Me. Yeah.
This is me. Look, I got a two-headed guy who's born deformed, but pay 5 cents and I'll collect that.
So
P.T. Barnum wasn't a good guy, is my point.
How fakely surprised do you think the Coco people are going to be when they win the award handily?
We're so shocked.
I know.
If I see tears, I'm done.
It's just, I guess the biggest thing to talk about in this category is like, what's up with Boss Baby being nominated? Is there no other animated films out there?
I think it's been really weak this year. What else came out?
No. Here's the thing. Captain Underpants got snubbed. I thought it was phenomenal.
Interesting.
And the Lego Batman movie.
Oh yeah.
Interesting.
That got snubbed.
And not only that, Lego movie got snubbed.
Yeah, that year.
When it came out. And I thought Lego movie is one of the best.
I know some of the guys who've worked on that.
Oh, you did?
It takes hard work. Yeah.
It looked like it took hard work. I thought it was one of the best animated movies of like the millennium.
It actually had comedy.
I was gonna say
Proper comedy.
So they just got a vendetta against Lego, I guess.
They've always snubbed them or DreamWorks. You know.
My quick bone to pick is I feel like Pixar made Inside Out as like, hey, yeah, we can do no wrong. And Inside Out is a great movie, but I feel like it didn't resonate with as many people, and it didn't hit that
Did it
like.
win?
It didn't have that commercial appeal that like.
Not only did it win, Buzz and Woody came out in animated form to award the award
For Inside Out?
to themselves.
Yeah. To themselves.
Inside Out.
But I feel like ever since they did that super indulgent Inside Out project, they've been stuck making like things that are like safe, and it's interesting to me. Like I heard Coco's great, but it's just like we're not gonna get any more like Anomalisa is like nominated until we have like 5 more years of Coco.
Pixar's too big for their britches now.
Right, exactly. Yeah. So next up, I'm gonna say this one: actor in leading role.
Okay.
So this one's big.
Yeah.
So we have Timothée Chalamet for Call Me by Your Name, Daniel Day-Lewis in his last movie ever in Phantom Thread, Daniel Kaluuya for Get Out, Gary Oldman as Winston Churchill for Darkest Hour, and I think probably one of like the most horribly just butchered movies of the year, Denzel Washington and Roman J. Israel Esquire.
Really? I didn't see it, but I love Dan Gilroy. It's not good.
No, as in I think it was butchered in the critically. Like I feel like because of the nature of him playing the character he plays, they intentionally took it out, kind of thing.
Okay.
It's actually worth watching because if you like that director and you like that, it's in that same vein. It's in that same like narrative arc and everything like that.
Right. So Daniel Day-Lewis.
No, actually no.
No.
Actually no.
Ooh,
Yeah.
interesting. Okay.
So obviously, my cynical pick is Timothée Chalamet. Like hands down, I think that he's gonna win this for Call Me by Your Name, because just like the same thing you're talking about with the Kevin Spacey thing. I think that everyone's expected pick was Gary Oldman, and I think they're gonna screw him over because of all the controversy surrounding him.
There's controversy surrounding Gary Oldman?
Yeah,
What,
everyone
what'd he do?
they've been digging so because he struck his wife years ago, and then they've been bringing that up in the Me Too stuff, and he defended Mel Gibson, and he said that he thinks PC culture in Hollywood's gotten too out of hand during the Me Too stuff. So if you look up Gary Oldman, the first 10 articles are all Gary Oldman, the Desmond consultant, dares to speak out against this and that, and I think that's just like James Franco got screwed over for Best Actor. I think Gary Oldman, they're going to take the award away from him and give it to Timothée Chalamet to make a statement.
I shoplifted from a gas station once. Is somebody going to dig that up?
If you become a famous Hollywood director, they will. Yeah.
Oh,
Still on
God.
air now, so.
Huh? Oh, shit.
There goes your career, man.
There you go.
Anyway, I'm just going to do my picks now, and we're not going to talk about it.
That's your picks, Peck.
So, yeah, my cynical pick is Gary Oldman. However, I don't think he stands a real chance against. Not only did Daniel Day-Lewis give a fantastic performance, although not his best.
Not all, yeah.
He said it's his last movie ever, which I think Daniel Day-Lewis doesn't like being Daniel Day-Lewis. I think he likes being anybody else. So I don't think it'll last very long, his retirement. But yeah, since that's what he's publicly saying, I think the Academy is going to give it to him.
Out of like Bill the Butcher and then like you know whatever, like where do you think?
Plainview.
Yeah, Daniel Plainview. Like where do you think this stacks up in his performances? Like top 5, or do you think it's in like just the mediocre?
Number 3.
Interesting.
I think I don't think it was his best, but it was very subtle and very compelling, and yeah, very well done.
I'd say the same with Timothy Chalamet, though. Very subtle, very compelling as well.
Interesting.
But I think Gary Oldman's got it in the bag.
And then I guess anyone think Get Out has a chance, or do you think this is probably way too strong of a category for?
Yeah, I wouldn't say it's got a chance. If they do it, it's clearly just a handout pick, you know.
It'd be so interesting if a comedy horror movie.
He's not playing a historical figure in a period piece. That's the problem.
No, for sure.
All these are mostly period pieces.
I was gonna say, how many of these people have played a period piece before? Between Denzel, Darren Day-Lewis, they've all done their
What kind of way to spell Timothy is that too? With 2 E's and one of them's got a tilde on it or something.
So I'm actually interested, just like how we talked about with supporting actress, we should all watch Mudbound. I think we should also kind of watch Roman J's Real Escort because it's a very interesting performance.
When I worked at the theater, you know, I should have seen it.
Yeah, especially you love it, Dick. You wear the shirt still.
And how much that movie got snubbed.
Yes, it did.
All right.
That's enough.
But I give it to Gary Oldman. Yeah.
And equally interesting. An equally tight race is best supporting actress, or sorry, best lead actress. My bad. I can't read. So for lead actress, we have Sally Hawkins in The Shape of Water, Frances McDormand, 3 Billboards, Margot Robbie for I, Tonya. I can't ever pronounce the name right. Saoirse Ronan for Lady Bird, and Meryl Streep for The Post. Okay. So I think this one. The obvious one that like all the other award shows have been nominating is Frances McDormand. I think that this is her best like performance ever. Like really, because like I love Fargo, but Fargo's like
she was like gangster in 3 Billboards.
Yeah,
no, she walked in and was like, "Hey, fuckhead!" Like she said,
so powerful though. So powerful.
Yeah, so she was great.
Yeah, I feel like 3 Billboards would exist better as like a play, almost like a theater production.
Definitely, I agree too. Yes.
So because the performances are just so strong. But anyone think Sally Hawkins has a chance?
Yes. Really? Because not only does she play a woman, she also plays a disabled woman. So there's that angle.
Interesting.
I think. But not only that, but she gave a fantastic performance with just her facial expressions.
Right.
And like,
he picked her for that reason.
Her eyes said that's why. Yeah, she sold absolutely everything.
She's more artistic choice, but I'd definitely give it to Frances McDormand.
I would say Vicky Creeps got really snubbed. I'm serious.
Anyone think Meryl Streep has any kind of a shot?
No.
I don't even know why they nominated her.
But it's for Meryl Streep.
It's for Meryl Streep.
But you
want to talk about the snubs at all?
I want to talk about Vicky Creeps. I thought she did a phenomenal job in Phantom Thread. Seriously.
I know. I agree. No, I agree.
But there on the poster.
I totally agree. She gave a really good performance.
So
something very vulnerable, you know.
She was the perfect antithesis to Daniel Day-Lewis's character. I don't understand why she's not on this list.
I agree. She probably should have been over Meryl Streep for The Post.
Yeah, instead of Leslie Manville. I mean, she was all right,
but I don't know. I'm interested. I'm interested in that because I feel like the Academy is going to lean towards Lady Bird. I feel.
Yeah, that could happen.
But I think Frances McDormand. Like, this is the one I'm least sure about.
I hope
because Sally Hawkins had enough charm in that movie, so it'd be so interesting a character that as she does speak when she sings. Spoiler. Yeah. But for like a mute character throughout the movie to win Best Actress is like really fascinating to me. But 3 Billboards kind of has it locked in the cynical pick of she deserves it, but in terms of like So interesting.
I'd say Saoirse Ronan. It was a good performance, not an Oscar performance, maybe.
Sure.
I agree.
Yeah. Sure.
Totally agree.
Interesting. All right, and now let's move on to Best Director. So this is the big auteur. let's list off some people.
All of these are pretty good. So.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Okay. I want to go on yours first.
All right, so let's read them off first. So for Dunkirk, we got Christopher Nolan. For Get Out, we got Jordan Peele. For Lady Bird, we got Greta Gerwig. For Phantom Thread, we got PTA. And for Shape of Water, we got Guillermo del Toro.
Ooh.
So.
We've got a lot to talk about.
It should be noted there are 2 first-time directors on this list.
I know.
Very interesting.
That's pretty good.
Very interesting. So I'm going to come out and say it. I don't think Get Out, the strongest feature was the directing. I don't think there's plenty of other movies on here that should have been on here. Yeah. And I think it's because, again, I was like, I'd be happy with screenplay. I'd be happy with
The one that
Exactly.
even
Rightfully
editing.
so.
Even editing, I would have been happy to get out getting something right. But with direction, I'm like interesting that it's that. I'm like, because that wasn't the heart of it for me. So it's interesting. But everything else on here, I'm like, cool.
Yeah, I think Denis Villeneuve got snubbed.
yeah, for sure.
Joe Wright got snubbed. I mean, these are movies with great screenplays, but the directing was, the weakest aspect, right? For Lady Bird especially.
Well, Lady Bird especially.
It's
I think
very confusing that she's on the.
I would say
they're both on the list.
the most deserving is PTA because
Yes.
you watch those credits and it's directed by, shot by, written by, So yeah. So and for a fact he had his hands on like all elements of that movie.
Definitely.
In terms of like craft, I'd give it to PTA, but for monster sounds, I'd give it to Guillermo del Toro.
I know. I love.
Del Toro, he's a ray of sunshine. I would be very happy if he won.
I would be thrilled.
He's always beautiful scenes.
Yeah, I think a lot of people are happy for that. I just love watching the credits for that movie, and it's like Monster Sounds, and it's just Guillermo del Toro. I love that.
Just picturing the sound studio, it's like.
But Guillermo del Toro, he's just such a visual innovator. He would just totally deserve it.
Yeah, it's interesting because he's been like everything's kind of like a hit, like everything's good. So it's interesting to see if he finally wins it for Shape of Water versus anything else he might make later in the future.
Right.
But that being said, my hope is PTA wins, but I can totally see Gilmore winning, and I'm happy, and I'll be upset if any of the two first-timers win because I'm like,
I wouldn't say they're as deserving.
I think the award in itself is they got nominated. I think it's like cool, like
I'm doing something right.
Yeah.
Good job,
Yeah.
God noticed
especially Get Out. It's like I think that nomination is people want to see more of this.
So what you're saying is Christopher Nolan doesn't stand a chance.
Not at all,
I
because
wouldn't say that, but he's a great director.
because I feel like Dunkirk's gonna pick up all of those other like technical awards,
Probably the technical stuff.
which I think is gonna compensate for it.
So it's a race between PTA and Guillermo.
Yep.
I think
I agree.
just on a one-to-one comparison merit, I think PTA is probably going to take it.
100%.
I would be very, very, very happy if it was Guillermo.
Me too.
For sure. All right, and then the meat and potatoes of this entire discussion. This can go on as long as you need. Best Picture.
Okay.
So we had the lovely million nominations ever since they keep expanding these things. So we got Call Me by Your Name, Darkest Hour, Dunkirk, Get Out, Lady Bird, Phantom Thread, The Post, Shape of Water, and 3 Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri. I hope to like signify my disdain that like already like I'd rather see Mudbound.
Yeah, screw you, Meryl. Get out of here.
It's just, and it's funny because I have no issues with Spielberg. I have like no issues with like those movies getting nominated. It's just out of all the movies this year, like I like the year. Spotlight was 2 years ago, right?
Yeah.
The second I saw that movie, because UT had an early screening for the journalism department, I was like, this is gonna win. Like, I already knew hands down, because they love their journalism movies. And the second I saw the posters coming out, I got so upset. So I'm like, I hope that doesn't steal the spot from any, because there's so many good movies this year.
The difference is, I feel like Spotlight had kind of like a handheld grit to it. And the Post just looks like the movie equivalent of vanilla ice cream. It doesn't look good at all.
Yeah. Starring Tom Hanks and Meryl Streep too. It's It's like if someone was making a fictional movie inside of a thing, it's like directed by Steven Spielberg, starring the two biggest actors and actresses.
It's like an SNL sketch.
Exactly.
Anyway, okay, I'm going to say my picks.
Go ahead.
My cynical pick, and I'll be mad if it wins, is 3 Billboards.
Interesting.
That's my cynical pick. And my real pick is, okay, it's a toss-up. I have Shape of Water written here.
Right.
And I think it barely edges out as a film Phantom Thread.
Right.
Because it has a more finite conclusion. I don't know, structure-wise, I think it was better than Phantom Thread.
For sure.
But Phantom Thread I really enjoyed. I think I like them both equally, and it's hard for me to choose between those two.
That's the same debate I was having. So, first off, 3 Billboards is my best picture pick. But when it comes to my, you know what, if it doesn't win because it wins screenplay, because it wins all the acting awards and everything it gets, who I'll be happier with, I ended up going with Phantom Thread because I feel like Shape of Water is so complete and so whole. I'd rather Guillermo win for director and PTA win for best picture.
That makes sense because PTA is starving for a win at this point.
And I feel like the best picture is almost a bigger award than the best director award kind of thing. And like we all know PTA. Yeah, and since he had so many elements in it, just winning director I think isn't like fair, you know.
Yeah, no.
And it's such it's such a subtle powerhouse film of Daniel Day-Lewis and the costuming and the soundtrack and everything working with it. Yeah.
And I think the reason I hope Three Billboards does not win is because as a film is where like there's a lot to enjoy in it. Like so there's some scenes that are really great. The acting is really great throughout the entire thing. But as a film, like I don't think it stands up to the other stuff in this category.
Interesting.
Especially since the first half of it pretty much is a lot of scenes setting things up, and it doesn't have a through line. So yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, I'm gonna say I'm pretty split on this one. Like between Phantom Thread, Shape of Water, and Three Billboards.
Speaking of split,
speaking
of split, where's
Split?
Where's McAvoy's
Bruce
now?
Willis in Best Supporting Actor? Oh, spoilers! Spoilers.
Oh man.
But
God, I wish Death Wish connected.
Oh, that's crazy.
Oh man.
The split.
I'm gonna say they're gonna give it to Shape of Water. That's why I feel like the Academy's leaning right now. It's got 13
Interesting.
nominations. It's got the most buzz.
Right.
No one saw Phantom Thread. I loved it, but no one's gonna see it.
I need to see
But my dark horse is Dunkirk. That movie.
Interesting.
Shaped me. But the snub for me of the year was Blade Runner 2049.
Hands
As
down.
a sequel, it stood on the shoulders of giants and was its own giant. It somehow managed to be a sequel and its own movie.
Yeah, I really think instead of the post Blade Runner should have been out here.
why
And
did
I think it's a signifier that I feel like we talked about 2 podcasts ago how sci-fi is kind of the new fantasy, you know,
It
like.
challenged me in so many ways. Seeing that.
Because I think it's unfair that like Fellowship of the Rings won Best Picture, but like 2049 doesn't get nominated. You know, because it's like they're both kind of in that realm of adaptations that just masterly create a world and everything.
They're real snooty is the bottom line.
Right.
I think. Okay, so Call Me By Your
What do you think though?
Gosh, I want Dunkirk to win so bad. I really do, but there's so much politics behind the Best Picture noms, and I think if it does win, it's gonna cause a big uproar. Even if like if Get Out doesn't get Best Picture as well. I think that's
But before we get further into it, because I want to debate this a bit, hands down, Best Picture we learned from last year is a political game. It is a thing of it's
Spotlight won, Moonlight won.
Yeah,
it should have been La La Land, but Moonlight won.
Yeah, it's not an issue because he won Best Director, so they gave him Best Picture. Best Picture is the for us as people who enjoy films. For us, it makes sense if it's as a complete package. What's a tour de force, right? So for us, PTA, it's tour de force. Shape of Water is whatever. You know, Dunkirk's just crazy. But the fact that Call Me by Your Name, you know, Get Out, Lady Bird are on here, it's like, hey, why is this relevant? Because if Get Out wins, which again, the Academy notoriously hates horror, hates suspense, hates all those kinds of things. If Get Out wins, they're saying, hey, because this did something different, we're gonna recognize it. Because Lady Bird is different, and because it's a thing, we're gonna recognize it. You know.
Actually, I think Get Out has a chance for that very reason.
Exactly.
Because it's such a its take and its satire on like racial issues is so well done, really well executed. And usually with a movie that tries to comment on that, it's like a period piece.
Right.
And most of the ones that take place nowadays are like well received. You know, like. Detroit got a ton of shit. I liked it, but I mean, it didn't go over well.
It got wrecked. Yeah.
So yeah.
Ravaged.
So I think Get Out has because it's so fresh and such a new kind of postmodern take on it.
Yeah.
I think it might win for that reason.
100%.
Conversely, I think Call Me by Your Name has almost zero chance of taking this award because. And this is unfortunate, but because the movie depicts a relationship between a grown man and a 17-year-old boy, and I think the worst thing the Academy could do is
award that,
promote that, because not only
clearly, you know, like disavowing any of that right now. If they were to give that, that would set a really bad precedent.
It would have set a bad precedent, especially you know, for the gay community. They could have made him 18 in the movie. It wouldn't have taken much, but like it's that's something the gay community is actively trying to push against is this type of relationships. However good the movie is.
That's the integrity of the story.
Yeah, there's an active joke I've been making of like if they take Kevin Spacey out of All the Money in the World and put it in Call Me by Your Name, Call Me by Your Name would be the most reviled movie of all time because Armie Hammer's hot. They're like, oh no, this is actually artistic, guys. It's worthwhile. But there's no way they can give like hands down on this list.
Kevin Spacey's also 55, so it wouldn't.
What I'm saying though is just like take any other take any other guy in there and it's just like put what's his face from Arrested Development
Jeffrey Tambor?
Jeffrey Tambor, like put Jeffrey Tambor and Call Me by Your Name. It's a completely different movie. So I think it's rough and I actually kind of agree with that assessment that they can't give. Like, you said Christopher Plummer might win, and I'm like that's actually a good call as a statement. In that sense, they cannot give it to Call Me by Your Name. So last second. Best Picture wrap up, because let's wrap this podcast up.
We got Shape of Water.
Shape of Water?
Yeah.
But I have another thing. I have another thing to say. Dunkirk, I don't think has a chance of winning.
Interesting.
You know why? Because it's an epic, right? It's structured like an epic. Think about epics ever since fucking Gilgamesh. They've always had a central character hero that you can get behind and experience the epic through his lens. Dunkirk has no characters whatsoever. So it's all structure
the epic hero is the spirit of British nationalism.
Fuck that, man. The spirits.
But Dunkirk, the event was a collective effort.
Yeah.
It's not pushing for the character development.
I understand that, but the
It was an
closest thing to a
event.
hero you can connect with is Kenneth Branagh, who stands on a bridge for 3 hours.
And you're emotionally like devastated by it because he's looking at home.
Giving me a reason
called
to connect.
Dunkirk, not
They're not heroes.
Kenneth
You have
Branagh.
to
Just British boys.
You have to take a step mentally to connect with it. It's not giving me a reason to. I love Christopher Nolan. This is the first
Certainly.
movie he's written by himself without his brother Johnny. He needs to get that guy
They
back.
just needed to default on Darkest Hour. That was great.
Darkest Hour
What
is
are you
gonna
talking
win. Let's just say Darkest Hour.
Mudbound's the dark horse. All right, my pick is 3 Billboards, but I really want Phantom Thread if 3 Billboards doesn't win to win that one.
3 billboards, but Dunkirk.
Interesting.
What?
Interesting.
I know.
All right, so let's wrap this up the way we always do. The sneak peek recommendation of the week. We all agreed mutually on Annihilation.
Yeah,
It's still in
Mudbound.
theaters. Yeah, Mudbound. So Mudbound you can watch on Netflix, right? You can watch that.
Yes.
2 hours,
Yes.
minute.
Yeah, you can watch Netflix. We'll watch it. We'll see if it's actually good. And then in terms of new movies, Annihilation's out in theaters. Let's actually give it some support, give it some love.
Seriously.
And I'm really I love Garland. And the thing is, people I know who love Garland say the movie's good, but people I know who are just casual moviegoers have been hating Annihilation. So
Yes.
I'm interested in that.
Plus, I can't think of a single sci-fi that Natalie Portman wasn't fantastic in.
Yeah, except Episode 2 of Star Wars.
And 3, 1.
No, 3's amazing. All right, well, thank you guys so much. Thank you guys, everyone that watched. Be sure to tune in the Oscars tonight and follow us on social media at Sneak Peek TV so you can see live updates if for some reason you don't have the cable to watch it or wherever it's on. What channel is it on?
What? What are you talking about?
The
What?
Oscars.
The Oscars?
Yeah.
It's on ABC.
ABC?
Thank
Oh,
you.
wow. Disney.
Why are you asking me?
I don't watch television. I always watch it online.
I don't either.
But see if you can watch it. Otherwise, just follow us on social media so you can catch all the updates and see how right or how wrong we were. Be sure to tune in next Thursday at 9:30 to catch on watchtstv.com to catch Sneak Peek Live, and we'll be doing recaps and everything like that if somehow you missed the show. And yeah, we'll be back next Sunday with another podcast. Yeah. Thanks so much for watching. Thanks so much for joining me, everyone. And yeah, we'll be back next week. Bye-bye.
See ya.
Bye.